Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybrook Family Farm. So we've actually owned this place now for 10 months. It seems absolutely crazy to me that it's only been 10 months that we've been here. And also in the same point, it seems kind of wild that we've been here for this long. Just because it honestly kind of feels like we just like moved out of the camper almost. It's kind of a weird paradoxical type of feeling because we've been so busy and stuff that it just time just seems to be a weird illusion. But so right now, what we've got going on this month is we've been really trying to plan out and trying to focus on what it is that we want the next year or so of our homestead to look like and how we want that to be. Um, we also too just made a really big batch of dog food, so I'm kind of trying to soak in a little bit of time outside right now, even though it is still cold, because this week all the snow is going to be gone. It's supposed to start raining this evening, and because we've made so much dog food, the next whole slew of days I'm going to be trapped in the kitchen basically, just canning. We made, I think it's like 4 big stock pots full of dog food. So how we make the food is we just basically people give us freezer burnt meat or meat that has not been very good, or that they just it's excess, they don't want it, whatever. Um, we use that, and then we add in a bunch of vegetables. Eventually, we hope that we'll get to the stage in our homestead development that we will be able to supply all of the vegetables that our dogs need for their food from this land. But as it is right now, we go on Saturdays and we use a coupon from the dollar store, because the Dollar General store and Family Dollar, they have a thing where if you spend $25 on Saturday, you get $5 off. So we use those coupons to then make it so buying the canned vegetables and stuff for the dogs is cheaper. We did also use some of the squashes that we got on a really good deal a couple months ago. We did add some squash to their dog food to help with the cost of the veggies and all that stuff. So the dogs did eat some this morning and they were very, very pleased with it. But so we'll probably end up with, well, the last time that we made dog food, I think it was 37 quarts that we had, and that was about half the amount that we made yesterday. So probably gonna have somewhere around 70 quarts of dog food. Our dogs, we have 4 dogs. 3 of them are small dogs, and then 1 is a bigger dog. All of our dogs are senior citizens, so they like to be spoiled. But so we go through probably about 2 to 3 quarts of dog food a week. We mix it with rice, so it does make it go further. But so that'll last for quite a few months, which would be nice, so that way we can get through all of the planting season and even partially through part of summer, hopefully, without having to worry about the stress of making dog food, because that does take up a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy to do that, especially when you have a million other things on a homestead that you need to develop. So that'll be nice to get that done and out of the way. We always try to in the wintertime to make a massive amount of dog food, so then that way, at least in the springtime, we do not have to worry about it at all. It just makes it so much nicer to be able to have that fully supplied and ready to go and on the shelf, and it be a shelf stable type of item. But so we did actually start working on ordering like plants and things of that nature. So when it's been, I gotta put my hood up, my ears are getting cold. Um, so it's been really nice with having all this snow, because it basically makes it so our whole entire homestead is like a big blank canvas. So it makes it so we can really see the amount of space that we have places, and it helps with visualization and adding things in. The wintertime is just absolutely the best time for planning your garden, plotting things out, planning your orchard, just doing a ton of planning, because also it's really nice to just stand inside and look out a window to see, oh, this should go here, or that should go there, and just to help envision different things that you want to essentially create. So when we lived in town, it was a very easy, simple, straightforward method of where to put stuff. We wanted more privacy, and we didn't have a lot of um, it was difficult to plant there because there was so much shade in our quarter-acre backyard that it made it so we had to have gardens in kind of weird places. So that sort of dictated where we could and couldn't plant stuff based on the shade. So what we did there was we pretty much just did all the perimeter lines and stuff. So in that way, eventually, no matter how long we were staying there, we would then ultimately add more privacy for us, more privacy for the dogs, create sound barriers, but then also create a nice, abundant ecosystem for wildlife, and also so we could create a lot of food of our own. So with being here, it's very different because you figure here we have two whole entire acres, which isn't a lot. I grew up on 11 acres, so from my teenage years to adulthood, I grew up on 11 acres. Prior to that, where we essentially started homesteading when I was a kid, it was, I think, about 1 3/4 acre. So we just pretty much did some vegetables and dabbled a little bit in chickens here and there, and it was mainly just a big vegetable garden with some fruit trees. So not anything like what we're doing now, but so I'm no stranger to doing this on a small scale and a small amount of property. But so it's kind of different to try to be plotting out and planning and designing a homestead that is 2 acres versus that's almost a third of an acre. So it's just kind of a different scenario there. So what we've been trying to do is figure out places that are in the woods that we can add actually more trees in the woods, because there have been a couple trees that have fallen down, and there's a nice big blank bare area that I'm thinking that could probably be a hospitable place for like shade tolerant trees like pawpaws and persimmons. So I have to do more research, but we did order trees. So we have trees coming that we now have to figure out where we're going to put them. So that's what we've been busy with in the past few days, is just really trying to nail down where we want to put stuff and essentially how we want it to be designed and what our goals are. You can see behind me there's a fence line here that we actually had put in, and I planted a bunch of different varieties of grapes. And I'm telling you guys, we've been so busy that like a lot of the different varieties that we put in, I like would text them to Tracy as I was digging them so that way we could like keep track of which ones were where. Neither of us ever took the time to write them down. And since phones do the auto delete thing after 60 days, yeah, don't remember what I planted where. So it is what it is. I guess we'll just figure it out and make up fun little names for each of the plants as we do them. But so this whole area back here, you can't see the fencing, but it is pretty substantial fencing that's there, and that will have a lot of grapes on it. It's pretty much all planted out, so we don't have any desire really to grow any other grapes. I think we have like 10 or 12 different varieties of grapes, so that is more than enough grapes. So that'll be really nice in the coming years, because it will create a privacy and a little bit of a wind block from the field over there. But we have actually decided that we want to somewhat fence in the property, just because then it'll actually help keep our turkeys in the boundary lines and stuff. And we've really missed being able to let them free range and be out and about more. So that is something that we've plotted and planned, that once the weather gets nice, because we already have some T-posts already going and ready in place and stuff, just ready to put fencing up. So it is something that once it gets a little bit warmer, that we will actually start tackling relatively soon. So then once it's warmer and the birds aren't all stuck in the barn, which they could get out at any time. The doors are open, but birds. So once it's warmer and nicer out and they start wanting to free range, then the fence will hopefully already be in place, or at least in the works. So then that way we don't have to worry about them getting hit by a car. Not that our road is super busy or anything, but still. Don't want anything bad to happen to our birds. We've lost enough birds here. But so, and we've also discussed plans for adding onto the barn and finagling that, whether we do it as a DIY thing or we have our roofer guy do it whenever he comes in the springtime to put a new roof on the barn. We haven't decided that. I'm kind of more leaning towards the DIY aspect. Tracy's leaning more towards let's just, save up some more money and see how much extra it's going to be, because then it'll take him like a day to do it, whereas it would probably take me a week. So that amount of savings of time and energy for me, and it eliminates the risk of me falling off of a roof and getting hurt. I think that's kind of where we're more leaning towards, of hitting the easy button and the safer option. But so yeah, it's been a lot of like mental energy and stuff, and I assume that this month will probably till the next monthly update, we'll probably just be doing a lot more planning and plotting and figuring out what direction we want to go in. And there's been a lot of talk actually about not doing as many farmers markets this year, especially since Tracy went back to working. So that is something that we've been discussing and trying to figure out like what we want to do with that, because it does take a lot of my time, a lot of my energy. And we've noticed in the last few weeks, like I've noticed especially, just how overwhelming this whole process has been, to just keep trying to work at such a rapid pace to get as much stuff done before it's time to start growing again. Like it's just, I'm really tired. I'm really exhausted, and it's been a tremendous amount of work. So it's been a bit of a doozy trying to get to a spot that the lighting is decent. There we go. That's a little bit better. But so we also have been trying to make mental lists of what projects we want to tackle this year, and you know, knowing that probably not all of them are going to get done, but for sure the whole issue with the barn and the roof and wanting to add on to that is something that is on the high, like very high priority list, because the roof on the barn is in terrible shape. Had we had the money to do it whenever we had the roof done on the house, we would have jumped all over that and done it immediately. But we ran out of funds, so that's why it's been waiting. So everything's just kind of holding itself together on that aspect. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. This month has been very different just because we're trying to be very intentional, and I've been very intentional on trying to force myself to slow down and to relax. It's been really hard because I have such a go-getter type of attitude. Like I naturally am a workaholic that wants to just do everything and get so many things done. And there's a lot here that needs done, and there's a lot that's been bothering me really badly and stuff, you know. And you guys have heard me all talking about all the different trash piles, and I've been working every single week on getting the trash out of here and getting it, you know, eliminated so we have more usable space. But it just, having all those, the lists of how many things that you want done looming over your head, it gets exhausting to try to just keep figuring out what to do next, which fire, so to speak, should be put out first when there's, you know, thousands of them here. So it's been very hard to try to focus on what it is that I need to do first and where I should be putting all of my attention and all of my focus into. So that's been a bit of a struggle, especially too because I do have ADHD, so that does kind of make it a little bit more scatterbrained and stuff. But I'm excited for this new year, because of the fact that like we're already here. Like when we got this place, it was like the craziest, most maddish dash to try to get things established, because we were basically trying to beat the clock on when to get plants in the ground and having to establish a garden and stuff. So like I'm looking at my list of things that I need to do, and it's so nice to not have on this year's list of things to do of hope that we find a homestead. And you know, then once we got to here, now I don't have to worry about, you know, in towards the end of March being scrambling trying to figure out where should we put a garden, where should we plant this stuff, where are we going to put the animals and stuff. It's so nice to already have those systems already in place that I don't have to be super stressed out about doing those particular tasks. So that has definitely been a big breath of fresh air for me, to just have more minor things to figure out, you know, that aren't quite as super detrimental and important. It's more of what varieties do we want to grow, where do we want to put our focus on, checking our pantry to see what we're really low on and stuff. So it's a very different pace, from the previous months, and also from where we're at right now from last year. So it's definitely been interesting. So if you guys are enjoying this content, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends on social media. If you haven't already, please subscribe to help us grow. We'd greatly appreciate it. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.